What's up, everybody? We're back here on FreeCodeCamp.org with a daily code challenge for October 1st. This one's called binary to decimal. Given a string representing a binary number, return its decimal equivalent as a number. A binary number uses only the digits 0 and 1 to represent any number. To convert binary to decimal, multiply each digit by a power of 2 and add them together. Start by multiplying the rightmost digit, 2 to the power of 0, the next digit to the left, 2 to the power of 1, and so on. Once all digits have been multiplied by a power of 2, add the result together. For example, the binary number 101 equals 5 in decimal because we have 1 times 2 to the power of 2 plus 0 times 2 to the power of 1 plus 1 times 2 to the power of 0. That is the equivalent of 4 plus 0 plus 1, and that equals 5. So they have a really good description of how to do this. The test cases don't look too crazy. The biggest thing we get is 85, which is 101010101. But this looks pretty straightforward, and there's actually a way to do this with just one function call. But since they took the time to describe all this stuff, that tells me that they're really looking for us to code this manually, which isn't too bad. I want you to hone in on the idea that they mention multiplying the rightmost digit by 2 to the power of 0, right? Rightmost, 0. And then the next to the left is 1, and so on. So that tells me, in my mind, I already see a backwards running loop and another variable keeping track of what we're exponentiating on. And the I in the loop is keeping track of the rightmost and then left and then left and then left index of our string. So let's make it code. We'll have a for loop that we want to run from right to left. So we're going to set I to start at the last item in the binary string. And to make this easier, we can split the binary string into an array. So now we have an array called bin, and I can say bin length -1. That'll get us the last index in that array. We set I to begin with that, and we want I to end when it becomes greater than or equal to 0. And we decrement it with each iteration. Like I mentioned, we will want another variable to keep track of what we're exponentiating on, and that's going to go from 0 up. And we will also want a result integer that we're adding all of this into, so that each iteration we can add to the result the item in the array at index I. So it's starting at the last index and moving to 0. And we want to multiply that according to our directions by 2 to the power of j. And each iteration, we will want to increment j. And I think that is the solution. They made it really easy to code this up given the detailed directions. And I want to hone in on the idea that, when you get some requirements or you get instructions or you get directions, you get a problem to solve, you get a challenge, whatever it is, if you can read this and, notice different parts about the description like I did, you can almost start to see the code in your head as you read it. And that makes it really fast and easy to at least get started coding up the solution, or, commenting in some pseudocode to think through the problem. And that's been my goal with doing all these daily code challenges, is just be able to really quickly turn instructions or description into code. It may not be the best code, it may not be the most efficient, because that's kind of the second step, is look at what you've done and how and decide how you can make it better if possible. But to get the first version of your code onto the screen, it really comes down to being able to visualize what needs to be done. And whether that means code or symbols in your head, shapes, maybe you have a diagram in your head that you start connecting the dots on or something like that. That's a skill that can come in really handy when you start working in industry, when you start talking to users or talking to your boss about what you need to code. That's the skill. really. So I am yapping. Let's go ahead and hold our breath and submit this. It is a solution, but it is definitely not the simplest solution in JavaScript. In JavaScript, all we need to do is call parseInt. We parse this binary string as an integer, and we specify that it is base 2. So parseInt takes one required argument and a second optional argument. The second optional argument is the radix. It is the base of the number system that you want to parse this string into an integer by. And this essentially does everything we did just now under the hood. It is another solution, but again, you know, why would they take the time to explain all this stuff if this was what they wanted us to submit, right? If you were sitting in a job interview and the job interviewer was like describing all this stuff to you, like, okay, this is what you're going to do. You're going to take this binary number string and this is how you do it. I just want you to code this description. How would you go about doing that? If you were like, well, I could just parse an int, it's not really going to earn you many bonus points. I mean, giving the simplest solution later might be useful, but you know, take a hint. Maybe they want you to code it manually. so I'll Control Z and I'll move back to our first solution. You know, that is what I expect they are expecting from us. So thanks very much for watching. I appreciate your time and attention. If you got something out of this video, you know, I would appreciate the like. It would help my brand new little channel out. If you want to subscribe for more content like this, please do. And other than that, I hope you have a wonderful day. And I wish you much luck on your coding journey, my friends. I'll talk at you later.